Welcome, and today we're going to do an honest stock review. So, why I chose honest stock out of hundreds of options. See, there are a lot of technology systems distributors, and I had my choice of everybody that I wanted. So here, let me take a look at who honest stock is, what they do, how they do it, and why I chose them. First off, they are your advocate in the technology channel, and this is a muddy, complicated, overwhelming channel, and it's very important to get this right because of the impact that it makes on your business. And so I've tried to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and hopefully you like the way I look at things and how I pick my suppliers and partners, because I think it's critically important that they have at least these four must-haves that I'm going to get into to show you how I vet my partners. All right, first off, honest stock. Here's what they do. They are a one-stop shop for sourcing virtually any tech service, from connectivity and cloud to security and beyond. They specialize in sourcing, negotiating, and optimizing tech. And I'll get into this because what they are is basically a solution from A to Z and from 1 to infinity. So what that means is from Alexander Graham Bell to Zoom, they can cover anything between A to Z. You name it, soup to nuts, they can help you out. And when I say 1 to infinity, what impressed me so much is that they can handle someone with as little as 2 cell phones if you're a business. And of course, this is all for business stuff, and clear up to enterprise. They have Fortune 50 companies that they've provided AI solutions for. And believe that, they did that in days. So their bandwidth on what they can do to help out companies financially and optimize their efficiency is bar none the best that I could find. All right, so let me talk about a little bit about what we do at SOS here at Save On Services. I'm Curtis Kimball. You see curtiskimball.com if you have any questions or want to reach out to me. But I've made it a priority that we only partner with unicorns. And I'm talking business partner unicorns. And yeah, as you can see, I got a little stylized unicorn, and that's because they are special. They are one of a kind. They are a different breed, and they have extremely high standards to step up to help my business associates with. So let's take a look. There are 4 different requirements on these must-haves that I have for our unicorns. 1, they must provide meaningful solutions, and I will get into that with an example of their meaningful results, because they need to impact your business in several different ways. 1, financially. 2, your operations. It's about money, but you have to take care of efficiency and optimize everything in your operations. And then finally, people, the human capital part. What can we do to make their lives easier and also give them benefits from all the solutions that we implement? Then we're going to get into the no sweat playbook, so your team doesn't have to do any heavy lifting. A no risk proposition. How do they work and fare on that position? And then finally, manage the transitions mindset, which is hugely important. These are 4 must-haves that all of my partners, and I have over 30 of them, that they must adhere to be able to fit into my system. As you can see, I'm down here in the corner. I am a part of our company at SOS, or a member of the HonestStok Tech Partners Network. So we work with them, we support them and recommend them, and I can't wait to show you even more on why we do that. So first off, here's the part I talked about, from A to Z. And as you can see, this is a super robust wheel of tech of what they can support to help you out. First off, I'm going to start down here in the part that is down at the bottom but should probably be on top, and that is AI. This is on top of mind. Just saw a survey recently, 96% of business owners at all levels, this is top of mind, trying to figure out how the heck to make this work, because there's so much of it. It's so convoluted. It's so frustrating that everybody knows they need to be using it, but it's overwhelming and they don't know how to get started. Well, HonestStok can help you out with that. And as I said, they have small solutions as well as up to enterprise solutions. The enterprise solutions are crazy in the sense that for Fortune 500 companies at that size, they can get proof of concept and stuff within days. So this is something that go from concept to getting done very quickly, and I have some examples of that. All right, the rest of the stuff, let's take a look. Up here at the top, communications. Everything is huge on that for mobility. Satellite data is huge and what they can do on that. SaaS, We've talked in the past on what the importance of Microsoft and the changes that are going on there, and how to connect everything, and having, there's so many softwares as a service. I know as a small business owner, I think I have 20 of them already myself, and I don't even have a complex organization. So it's amazing how this stuff can creep up, but they can do an analysis on that. Infrastructure, huge stuff. Everything from storage, data centers, cloud, you name it. Disaster recovery. We've had a lot of people reaching out for this because of the recent AWS, Amazon shutdown a little while back, to where it disrupted a lot of people's stuff, and they want some redundancy. So that's something they can look at. Let's go up here. Energy. Handle all your EV charging, natural gas. This is all becoming even more and more important. Energy drives the bus. Managed and pro services. So this has a lot, even with different software as service and other stuff. The managed services, to even if you have a vendor that's not supporting your software, there's some things that they can do here to help relieve you of that burden, or make it to where if you don't have an employee to do that, that it's always getting done and keeping optimized, and reduce your vulnerabilities. Hardware and logistics. Everything from the sales and service to marketing to everybody working in the office, from PCs to laptops, phones, everything like that. And then the last part, which is top of mind of everybody, is security. And that is, we know the ransomware and malwares and all the stuff that's horrible and bad out there, and you work so hard to build your business, and then you got people trying to jam you up, and just not a good situation. But HonestStok can do all of this stuff. Like I said, A to Z, Alexander Graham Bell to Zoom, they can do it all, and everything else in between. And then at the bottom, the huge thing, any tech, any scale. So this video, for any business, doesn't matter if you have one thing plugged into the wall and a bunch of systems, they can help you out, or they can go up to as big as possible for any corporation. So that is what they can do, soup to nuts type of thing. And how do they do it? Well, they have over 800 providers and partnerships that they've worked with. They have a bunch of different specialists, but they've been doing this for a long time. And this impressed the heck out of me, because that is a lot of providers. So that means they have the ability to give more holistic, comprehensive solutions than just trying to shoehorn something in. And you find that out where when you're talking to a sales rep for a company and they have one product, a lot of times they have a certain amount of products and they can cover a certain amount of bandwidth, but they don't have the perfect solution. So they just try to jam your company into that. And so that's how you get to where then you add another system to try to overcomplicate this. And it's almost like someone taking vitamins or taking drugs. As you get older, you take these blood pressure things, and then you take something else, but that creates another problem, and now you're just starting to try to, put band-aids and kind of Frankenstein this stuff together. Where they, by working with 800 different companies, they can provide a comprehensive solution at the front end without compromising. And that's the way you want it to work. So it works well. And because a lot of our customers, and I realize that this happens, and it's easy, is you start buying systems and buy certain solutions that were the right decision at that time. But now all of a sudden you have all these systems that aren't talking to each other. The HonestStok can help you get all your systems talking together and get a comprehensive solution. So let's get back to what are the 4 must-have unicorn requirements that I have. Number 1, I talked to you about meaningful solutions. They got to make a big impact, meaningful impact on your business financially, operationally, and on the people. Okay, so now we're going to go into the no sweat playbook. And this is very important to me. So when I first started trying to get customer or partners, I had started out, my story was I was in the uniform business for a long time, over 20 years. And I ultimately became, and I've been in sales and service, and I knew everything in and out. 20 years, I looked at thousands of contracts, tens of thousands of invoices. And so I knew everything about that business, where the bones were buried. And I became a consultant. And the consulting was going real well. It went really well for one of my auto dealership partners, and what happened, his name was Chip, and it ended up, when I went to deliver him the news that we'd saved him $300,000 over the next 3 years, he got super excited, just grabbed me by the shoulder and gave me this hug and just slapped me and said, "Hey, this was so much fun, let's do it again." And I'm like, "What do you mean let's do it again?" He goes, "Yeah, I want you to let's do this in a bunch of other departments." And that's when my heart sank because I didn't have the capabilities to do that because I was a laundry guy. I was a laundry expert. I didn't have any other, I couldn't go fix all the other departments. I knew some stuff about them, but not the type of depth and breadth of knowledge that it took to be a specialist, to be at the top of your game. And so that's where this unicorn, I was called a unicorn because I had that type of knowledge. So I went out to create a team of unicorns. And that's where I'm over 30 different unicorns right now and growing every day and in all sorts of different departments to maximize the cash, maximize the operational efficiency, and as well as maximizing the output from employees and getting ROI on all of these systems. And so that's what this goes through. But I have a few other requirements. And the number one, the second one is the no sweat playbook that I'm going to get into it. And what that means is I do not want your team to break a sweat or do the heavy lifting. I've hired people that are going to do this and they are going to help implement it. So you are buying a full solution, and that's where HonestStok comes in. And here's what they did. They fit this to a T on my no sweat playbook. And that is, they're tech strategy experts. They have over 100 years of combined experience in the tech space, which people have been doing it forever, and they have a bunch of different specialists in different arenas. This trusted guidance will save you time, reduce risk, and time, money, and risk. Those are the three things we're always trying to save. But what they'll do is every business is so different. And obviously, as you can imagine, from someone that, has one computer up to a Fortune 50 company, they have different needs and requirements. And so they will customize a program tailored to your company's goals, markets, and your resources. And so as you're growing, they grow with you. They help keep you out of the weeds and keep you focused and keep you with the right tools to keep your business running. They're going to help you avoid the vendor research and negotiations. You get ongoing support after the deal. This isn't just like get the deal installed and then you're done and abandoned, which happens to a lot of hardware and software sales that they don't have the back end to support stuff. And then finally, you have a dedicated support team with one single point of contact. So you're not going to get lost in the shuffle. And that's super impressive when you have an account manager that you have a relationship with and you can continue to build and build and build upon that. So that's the no sweat playbook. I do want to take just a quick second and just say, hey, everything I'm trying to explain the best I can on what they can do and how they do it. But at the end of the day, everything starts with a conversation. For me to tailor a situation to understand the capabilities of what we can do and who to get you in contact with. As you'll see, there's no risk, there's no sweat in everything we do, but it all starts by setting up a call and talking for 10 or 15 minutes. Real simple, casual, and I think it's always best to know where you stand. CurtisKimball.com, you can book a time to talk with me, but I'd love to go deeper and find out your situation and see if we can help. So as far as the next requirement, no risk proposition, huge thing for me. I am a pay for performance guy, and that's a must have with all of my partners, or you just don't get to be in the game. And so what does no risk proposition looks like with HonestStok? Because they match this to a T. They do a no cost assessment to evaluate your gaps, your opportunities, and your ROI potential on everything. So you're with them, as I mentioned, you get an unbiased brand agnostic option. So they don't work for any hardware, software, or any computer supplier. They are just someone that helps put together solutions that work for you, and you get to select them. So you get to access all this expertise, all these hundreds of years of experience without any added expense. They're literally like an IT department, but they're doing it every day, so they're keeping up with it. Most IT departments are stretched thin, and they're dealing with the day-to-day stuff, and they're just trying to survive, and they do great jobs. But to get to that next level on someone that does that, spends that time in that space every day. And, in terms of HonestStok, they only win when the customer wins. So they only win and can get commissions and get paid by certain suppliers if the solutions are put in, but it really doesn't matter which one. They're not trying to push towards anyone. They're pushing towards a solution that is successful and works for you, because they're taking care of you long term. So they don't want to sell you into something that doesn't work a year or two from now. They have to follow up and continue to keep track of you. So it's a win-win situation in my book, and that's exactly what I like in the no risk proposition. Okay, so back to the four must-haves. We went through the first three: meaningful solutions with results, no sweat playbook, no risk proposition. The next is manage the transitions mindset, and this is huge because everything is always changing. And so the unicorn that I look for, not only at the top of their industry from a results standpoint, they fit into the culture, they deal with the customer in the right way. But one, they need to understand how everything's evolving, the changes in the market, the changes in the technology, and they're looking toward your needs and requirement. They have to be masters of change agents. And as a change agent, to be a master at that, that means you are looking out for what's happening, what's changing, and you're able to educate, communicate, and move stuff forward for all the stakeholders. And that HonestStok has delivered to a T on all my experiences with them. So I strongly feel good about them. And in this, you'll always get ongoing support after the deal, which is huge. It's huge in anything, but the technology is a moving target. I mean, your technology can work great one day and then all of a sudden there's an update and everything goes haywire, or it's very dependent upon other different parts that are getting upgraded and that sort of stuff. And so you need a team behind you that can support you, and I feel very confident in HonestStok on that. So dedicated support team with single point of contact. I mentioned that before, but so important I mention it again. All right, so those are kind of the four must-haves, and HonestStok fits them all to a T. But let me get into the meaningful results part. I didn't show what they've done and what they've accomplished for other people, so we can see if this can work for you. So first off, meaningful results. Here are some financial, and I'm going to start with financial, and then we'll go into operational. So they've helped regional services group, and I'm giving you a range here just to see other capabilities. As I said, nothing's too small or too big for them. They just want to help people, and I think that's amazing, and I love that DNA, and that matches who I am and what I want to accomplish on this planet while I'm still kicking. As far as here's a regional services group, they saved almost $13,000 for. That's not life-changing, but it sure can impact a business when all of a sudden you're saving that. Professional services firm, $38,500 on some of their tech stuff. Healthcare network dropped $114,000 on healthcare, and we know how there's some challenges with healthcare and their billings and insurance and all that stuff. So that was very welcome. But let me look down here as far as the typical results of what we see. And that is when they're finding the best equipment for people, a lot of times they're saving anywhere between 30 to 80% when people are doing it on their own and have their own stuff because they don't know how many people to deal with. And quite frankly, whenever you're speccing something out or you're going out to get bids, there comes an exhaustion phase too. If you don't do this all the time, you get like 3 bids and you're I got my regular job to do, and then people almost kind of give up. They take of what sounds good, maybe the sales rep they like or something like that, where when you're a professional that you do this every day over and over and over, it's not a one-off. You know the shortcuts, the people to talk to, the solutions, you have all this stuff, you have preferential pricing. It just works out really well. Now, recurring tech spend just on stuff where say, hey, maybe you're going through expansions. That's one of the key triggers for us to be able to help out people in HonestStok is if they're growing, adding stuff. So even from that point forward, once they get stuff moving forward, cleaned up, you're going to continue to save 10 to 30% off of your growth. Growth is good, but growth can be challenging too. All right. In terms of other financial results, here's some meaningful stuff. Something that just happened with Microsoft is how things changed, and that is went out and helped a company, and they didn't even know it. This was a happy accident from one of these meetings, and I'm talking about like, hey, let's talk. They started a conversation. They didn't know where they were at. They gathered some information, and boom, they saved 140 grand, but it was 3 years. They were about ready to roll over on their renewal, and we found that. And you know what? They saved 141 grand down here for 3 years. And yep, that right there resulted in a 425 grand windfall that they would have paid otherwise. All started with just a conversation, getting the experts in there, talking to you, taking a look. They know where the bones are buried, and they were able to save a company 425 grand. So that's why we say, hey, let's talk. There's no downside, there's no risk in talking, and there's a lot of upside. In this case, 425 grand. All right, so the next one was huge. This is a big, huge talk about meaningful financial. This was for a private equity company They had an initial cost review stuff. They had over 8,000 locations under management. So yeah, that's a big thing. They'd add some stuff, but you know what happened? It ended up helping create over the course of the agreement of the stuff that they're implementing. It's probably going to create almost $29 million worth of value. 28.8 is what it's calculated at right now from everything that they've helped from infrastructure, tech, mobility, cloud, a comprehensive thing. So this, I wish I could save $29 million in my business, but I don't have that amount of business to do it. And you might not either, but it's just to show the scale at which they can work, the comprehensiveness that they've worked, and the ability to be successful. And that's a great one. That's one that we all desire. All right. So as far as those are financial results, let's get into some operational results. And these are the important is that we want to show the efficiency of stuff. So here we go. We've got a waste center, 115 agents, 30 locations, total significant efficiency gains. And this is what we're also looking for is how do we get more efficient? How do we optimize our effectiveness? And ultimately that will drop through to make our customers happier. It'll make our employees happier, more productive, and that will drop to the bottom line. So these are some of these results that sometimes it's harder to put numbers on because of what they're doing, but it's super important at the same time. Now let's take a look. Retail muffler shop, their ability, their scope, 1,450 locations, 6,000 seats, change some of the IT stuff. Now that critical tasks are getting done, and also 18% savings right off the bat without ever having to worry about this stuff. So huge savings, huge gains, boom. All right. Next one, some of the last ones on these results, these meaningful results as well that are not all financial, but they're also operationally. This auto dealership took care of all their phone system. They had 850 phones. So now it takes care of everything in terms of calls coming in from service to sales, and they nail that and they can keep track of that and keep track of their customer satisfaction and how stuff's flowing. Also, mental health care network with over 100 plus locations, 5 call centers able to deploy down there, and these locations and call centers of solutions they're seamless, they're connected and working extremely well. So that's, as you can see, the bandwidth, the scope, and as I mentioned earlier, it always starts with a conversation. Would love to talk to you. HonestStok, premier, supreme, awesome business partner. And like I said, after looking at tons and tons, I had hundreds I could look at, and I go deep and vet them, but they met my requirements and they've performed admirably, and I highly recommend them. So thank you very much. Please subscribe, CurtisKimball.com, if you want to talk or get some more feedback. Sure appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great one.